Malaysia has a long history for oil and gas related industry, and the industry is as old as has been around since 1950s, 1970s, and it's the talent pool, which is the real asset that we have here, is the personnel, the resources that we have is quite talented, and in terms of shallow water, topsides disciplines to deepwater segment, and it's quite very well versatile kind of skill sets that you can actually get from within Kuala Lumpur, within Malaysia, yeah. And compared to the regional peers, Malaysia is in itself is a good place to set up a business and run. In terms of cost, definitely Malaysia fares a lot better than the regional peers, and in terms of talent it's definitely a no-brainer to set up in Malaysia. That's how we see, and that has precisely been the reason for us to set up our company here in Malaysia in 2006, and we started hiring our staff in 2000, as early as 2006. We got them trained in our offices from UK as well as in US, and we brought them back here in 2008, and since then we have grown in this region, and we feel now that we have done the right decision, looking at all the major contractors and moving in, including the design engineering houses moving in and trying to set up shops in Malaysia. So it's definitely the right place to have the oil and gas business run out of Kuala Lumpur or Malaysia in general. In terms of attractiveness for investments, I can speak from 2H's perspective, from our company's perspective. It's we rely on our resources, the personnel, yeah, and we find that the engineering talent pool that we can find from within Malaysia is of a good quality engineers, graduates coming off, and that can be relatively trained to do some of these high-end technical nature of work that we are involved with, yeah. And with the support of some of those major oil and gas operators like Petronas, Shell, Murphy's and Hess, and all those international oil companies, there has been a good talent training happening even from the university level, yeah. And it's a very closely knit university and industry bodies here that helps in grooming the talent geared towards oil and gas industry placements in the future. So we find that as our the main strong point, and hence the reason why we invested in Malaysia as 2H Offshore, because of the advantage we have here. And secondly, you look at the resource, oil and gas as an industry here. Malaysia has a long history, like I said before, and there is a good deal of projects coming up, especially due to the fact that there is production decline that's been happening over the last couple of years, and therefore with the past track record, Malaysia is very well best placed to boost up the production, meet up the local demand, yeah, and bridge the gap in the declining shortfall in the production. So that's the second main reason for us to see that Malaysia is one of the good places to actually invest. This is you don't find such a need for domestic consumption, a well-matured oil and gas industry, and a reasonable talent base anywhere within this region. If I may bring up certain countries, the likes of Singapore, they don't have they have an oil and gas industry, but it is all primarily contractors. They don't have any oil and gas fields to develop. In the likes of say Vietnam, there isn't enough domestic consumption, to keep up with the pace. Malaysia, in that sense, it's got a good balance of the east and the west. It's got the good balance of the domestic consumption mature market. For the future for the deep water, definitely Malaysia I would rank being number one within the Asia Pacific region for taking the one and moving forward. And primary reason is that some of the mature fields in the shallow water place are on a constant decline, and there hasn't been new reservoirs identified in some of the exploration program. Those that have been identified, they are all primarily gas fields. Oil is still going to be on the foray, and the next frontier to reach out is the deepwater segment. And you look at it from the regional perspective, Malaysia is the first that had the deepwater play, which is the Kikeh, followed by Gumusut, which is now into the first oil already, and the third development that is about to be installed is Malikai. All three are deepwater developments in Malaysia, and they are far ahead of the regional peers that we see, and therefore it's a no-brainer that maybe not in the immediate term with the current oil price, but definitely in the medium to long term, Malaysia as a deepwater player is definitely going to be the case. It will definitely make a good business case for that to pick up.